Discovery Channel. Are you good, Ruth?
Yep.
Ready? Alan?
Alan, you ready?
Okay. Let us begin so we can go home. We should call the school board meeting of January 19th to order. First item is approval of agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor vote yes.
Yes.
All those opposed vote no. We got 7.
I vote yes, but it didn't pop up on my thing.
It passes 7-0.
7-0. Next is on our item is the USD 49 district mission, vision, core values, and strategic plan. The mission of USD 49 is to provide a quality learning experience for every student in every classroom every day. To support the mission of the district, the USD 49 Board of Education includes supporting a vision that encompasses high student achievement, highly effective staff, effective and positive communications, and for effective management of resources. Next up is consent agenda.
Yeah, on the consent, of course, you have board meeting minutes from your last meeting on December 15th. Also included are the board committee appointments with Megan moving off the board and Craig joining. Reappointed those positions. Craig to the Early Childhood Connections Policy Committee, and Ken moving into the negotiations team. Was the appointments. The Commerce Bank safe deposit, that's just, I don't know, just, you got to get Renee on the signature card. The obsolete district property, we have some items we just need to dispose of. Of course, we got the surplus box truck, and then we have some bunch of stuff, a lot of it, some cleaning supplies, cleaning equipment, as well as kitchen equipment to get rid of that we'll put on Purple Way. Personnel transactions, really no retirements this evening that I need to highlight, so just your normal personnel. Chris, financials.
A couple of different things. First, Dustin Davey with Piper Sandler is on remotely. He'll be joining here in our next agenda items. We're not going to talk about the bond update because he'll be covering a lot of that. But I did want to just take a second to point out, like, this time of year is a good time to talk about the difference between our cash summary and our financial report. So when you look at our financial report, that is our expenditures in relation to budget authority. If you remember, during at budget time, we said the budget authority. That's the most we can spend in any one month. But that is irrelevant of cash and cash carryover. So your cash summary is what shows you where we sit with cash. And this time of year, it's important. And you'll notice when you look at the cash summary, the first 4 or 5 funds are sitting at 0, right? The reason is because we get a little bit. We get state aid every month, but we don't get the lion's share of our funding, like LOB, capital outlay, any of those local things don't come until January 20th. So tomorrow is when we'll have our allocation from the county. So this time of year also, with legislature coming in, there's always talk about cash carryover and school districts, whether there's too much cash sitting in districts and carryover. This is a good time to point out the reason that we have to have cash carryover, because we have to make it until January 20th when we're receiving our first payment. The next round of major allocations from the county come in June, so that's going to be right at the end of the school year, and that's part of the reason that we have cash carryover also. But we need that money to be able to get to where we are right now. So a couple of things have to happen as we lead up to January 20th and receiving the funds. there's a lot of journaling of revenue. So all state aid comes into general fund first, and then we allocate it back out. We allocate it out to the special funds for at-risk and things like that, right? But we can't do that all at the beginning of the year. We have to meter it out just as expenditures are coming in because of cash basis law. So we can't overspend. We can't overspend any one fund more than the budgeted authority, what you approve in the budget, but we also can't exceed the cash in the fund either. So we have to manage all of our transfers now, and we also transfer around expenses. We pay for some things out of one fund for a while until we get our allocation, and then we move it to the appropriate fund. So there's just a lot going on in the background, and right now is just a good time to kind of see that as we come up right up against receiving our allocations from the county tomorrow. So I think, just an FYI, as we hit the end of the calendar year, we have about 880 regular positions within the district. We will send out 1,165 W-2s this year and around 100 1099s also. So you can see it with that includes everything from turnover throughout the year to game workers and subs and things like that. But pretty good sized number. So 1165 we'll have this year, most we've ever had. Last thing to point out is the bus rotation. So give you some information. Russ will be coming to February board meeting. He'll present the full 5-year plan, but he'll also bring you requests to purchase a bus. We purchased the buses off of state contract, so the prices are set. Basically, you go in and you build it. So we know the price of the bus is going to be $234,604 is what he'll be requesting. It will be purchased with FY27, so it'll be purchased with money after next year, so that'll be part of the motion. But the reason we want to do that is because the state contract bids are set, or the prices are set in November, and they're only guaranteed to be good into March, and then inflation and things can cause them to rise before the next time of bidding. So he'll bring you that purchase request at the next meeting.
You want to talk about the marketing contract for middle school?
Oh, yeah, we have, thank you. We have a marketing contract with JDR for middle school. If you remember, their packages have been a little bit different than the high school. We spent a lot of time talking about the high school and have the committee going there. The middle school has been running on ad panels at Gym A and Gym B in the middle school. Now I assume we're still following that. But JDR, they've done a lot of work with the bond, but then also Bruce was talking with them about doing some repainting inside the gym and taking down some of the signs and putting up new signage. And basically, he worked a deal with them for, they're paying the same rate as everybody else has, so they get a 10-year ad panel in Gym A and Gym B for $12.5, but they're doing some of it in trade for labor, what it was going to cost him to pay to do the gym. So, great deal for both of us. Appreciate that partnership with them.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I have some questions. On your, in the consent agenda, there's a list of all the buses.
Right. Russ will come and talk next month about that.
Okay.
But get it out to you. Right
I'm just curious, why is it in the consent agenda? Are we approving something on this?
No, because we're talking about financials, so I'm letting you know that he's going to be coming next month or at the February meeting.
Okay, so it's not really part of the consent agenda, it's just information?
Right.
Okay. And on the, I would like to remove 2.4, please. Have some more discussion about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? All right, Jamie's made a motion, looking for a second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Jess, if you let me know when you get 2.4 moved. did. We're ready?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, vote yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed, vote no.
7-0.
Passes 7-0. Next item is public forum. Is there anybody wishing to speak tonight? Okay. Next would be presentations. 4.1, bond finances.
Okay, I'm going to connect here so you can see Justin Avey with Piper Sandler. Dustin, as you know, Piper Sandler and Dustin primarily, and Dustin and Clayton, they're the ones we work with on all of the investment interest estimates, and we also work with them and Gilmore Bell on the arbitrage estimates and the legal side of it. So I'm going to get Dustin up on the screen here, and we're going to run through, he's going to spend a little time talking to you about where we sit right now in our revenue estimates for bond project fund. Dustin, as soon as I get you up there, I'm going to share the screen. All right. We didn't do a mic check or anything, but Dustin, can you hear it? All right.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay, Chris?
Yep, we're good to go.
Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm glad to just kick this off, and again, good evening, everyone. Always good to be in front of you, and yeah, it's hard to believe we're getting towards the very end of this project. I know there's been a lot of work done by a lot of people over a lot of years to get to this point. So congratulations in advance of nearly wrapping up a very important project for the Hayes community. As Chris alluded to, really just want to provide an overview kind of two things. Number one is just the financial plan related to the bond project, and then also just an updated summary relative to the dollars available to allocate towards the remaining projects. And again, from a background perspective, just for some high-level visibility, right, there's really kind of two components related to the bond project and the bond and interest fund. So think about the bond and interest fund is the fund that the district budgets for relative to the repayment of bonds. And this is the fund where sales tax is deposited on a monthly basis. And we also levy and collect property tax for the bond repayments. And then the bond project fund is where once we sold bonds, we deposited the bond proceeds in a bond project fund. And the dollars that were deposited along with the investment earnings during the course of construction are eligible to be used for project costs. So as contractors and architects have invoiced the school district for work completed on projects, the district remits payment from the project fund, again, which was a combination of investment earnings and the proceeds from the bond issue. A couple of things, and again, think about the bond and interest side of things. Again, it was issued $143.5 million of bonds over a 30-year term at an average rate of 4.12%. I would just note here, I think just sometimes, you don't know how good timing is until you can take a look backwards and be look at where rates are today compared to where they were when these bonds were issued. If we would have done this bond transaction last fall, the rate would have been probably closer to 5.5%. So a 4.12% over a 30-year term is a very favorable rate. I will note that all bond issues are eligible to be refinanced. and typically they're eligible to be refinanced. I believe this one is 2031, if I recall correctly. So depending upon rates between now and then, there obviously could be an opportunity to refinance for savings or to shorten the term. And so it's something that we continue to monitor on an ongoing basis based upon current interest rates. So financing it over a period of time, right, we get our payment schedules fixed over a 30-year period, and so we know what the source of repayment is. So we do levy a little over 11 mils of property tax. That revenue is collected along with the half-cent sales tax. And I would just call this out. I think Chris does a fantastic job of not only cash flow monitoring and revenue monitoring, but just tracking all of these things. But here is a summary that Chris tracks relative to both property tax receipts and sales tax receipts. The one thing I'll do, and I think this is, a critical part of the whole budgeting process, and as you know, here in about, 3-4 months, we'll be going through starting the budget process again. The key part that we tend to look at is the ending cash balance. So if you look at ending cash balance, just look at fiscal 25 as an example. Our ending cash balance was $5.8 million. We need to ensure that that ending cash balance provides enough dollars in this fund to make the the September 1 payments, but also leaves a reserve to protect the district for things we can't control. So what are some things we can't control, right? We can't control valuation growth, and we can't control whether or not sales tax revenues go up or down, right? So we're building in a reserve fund within the bond and interest fund to protect the district. So if things are happening that are outside of our control, we want to make sure the Board of Education has the ability to manage the overall mill levy, the overall and bond and interest mill levy, in the event things were changed, that things would change. So something that we look at very, very closely, as Chris and I have talked about, and as we've talked to the board about on previous occasions, once we get that ending cash balance up to a certain level, there will likely be an ability for the board to evaluate how many mills are required to support the bond. So again, we went into the bond project with a commitment to the patrons in the community of not exceeding a certain levy. Once we build that reserve, there could be a potential to do one of two things: lower the mill levy, number one, or maintain the existing levy, which will then build reserves, which allow you to prepay your bonds early. So a number of different strategies for the board to consider. Depending upon valuation growth this year, that may be this coming year, so fiscal, I guess it'd be your 26-27 budget. This may be a year where we start to have that conversation over, hey, what's the right amount of reserves, and what's the right strategy as we continue to build the reserves in this account. Going forward there, just a little bit of a history on sales tax revenue. Again, I think fiscal 25, you can see obviously the trend here, nearing $4 million in fiscal 25 of sales tax revenues. It feels like we're on track to at least match that amount for fiscal 26. I will just note that our numbers in our financial plan assume $3.6 million. Okay, so I think that's important. Again, we think that sales tax will ebb and flow over time. We've been very consistent in our sales tax estimates, going back to the very beginning of planning for the project at its inception. Thankfully, sales tax revenues are above the $3.6 million. But again, it's a good thing. It just gives us more flexibility, the school district more flexibility long term. So something that, again, we continue to monitor on an ongoing basis. Financial plan, there's a lot of numbers on this page. good luck if you're trying to read it up on the big screen if we have it on your computers here. So financial plan, we update this model, as you know, every single year during the budget process with two things. Sorry, I said 3.6. I meant 3.8 million in sales tax revenue. Sorry about that. So 3.8 million is what we've been using in our financial models. We update this financial plan every single year during the budget process. The primary updates are going to be valuation growth. So obviously, in the last 5 years, the district's valuation has grown at a fairly decent pace. Just for your reference, we assume a 1% valuation growth in the model. And obviously, over the last 5 years, valuations have grown much more than that. You'll see a fixed payment, so you'll see a fixed bond payment in the third and fourth column from your left. You'll see motor vehicle revenues, which again, every district fund receives motor vehicle revenue based upon the mill levy of that fund. You'll see sales tax revenues, and you'll see what's called debt service after motor vehicle revenues and sales tax revenues. That is the portion of your overall bond payment that's being supported by the mill levy. So right now, we're projecting the mill levy to be maintained at a constant rate of 11.152 mils. The thing I'll note here, which is really important, and this is what we'll continue to monitor going forward, is that fund balance column. So you'll note with assuming valuation growth at 1%, constant sales tax revenues at 3.8 million, and keeping the mill levy at 11.152 mils, our fund balance continues to grow over time. At some point, this is where the conversation turns to relative to what's the appropriate amount of reserve to maintain in this fund, and based upon what that reserve looks like, what's the appropriate mill levy, or what should that mill levy be set in the future. So all this is actually really good news for the Board of Education. I think there's a lot of flexibility, a lot of optionality as we get into the budget for 2026-27. This is more just a reminder. So as you may recall, the sales tax was initially a 10-year sales tax. And as we talked to the patrons of the community about, the sales tax will need to be renewed in 10-year increments going forward until the bonds are repaid. This just shows you if for some reason the sales tax is not renewed and the sales tax is sunset, what the mill levy requirement would be to repay the bonds. So it would go from 11.152 mils to 17.5 mils. So projects, so really the next page is going to be a summary of the revenue, the dollars available for actual projects. And just so for some awareness, obviously the bond sale, right? So the bond proceeds plus the premium. We have the investment earnings during the construction period. As Chris alluded to, there's some arbitrage calculations. The federal government only allows for investment earnings on tax-exempt bonds if we fall within certain spend-down requirements. And if certain spend-down requirements are not met, there's some arbitrage requirements relative to returning any earnings above the arbitrage yield of bonds back to the federal treasury. So I would actually say it's actually a good thing. If we can max out what we're allowed to earn on our bond funds, that's actually a positive thing to the district, and anything that we earn above that allowed amount just has to be returned to the federal government. And so that the sum of those things that provides us what we would say is like the dollars available for construction. And this goes into some detail here relative to what those amounts are. You can see we have factored in the investment earnings, the bond proceeds, the premium, the arbitrage or the rebate amount, And I would just say, like, I guess what I would call is a baseline, and I would call this a baseline amount before any sale of property or any dollars that you want to use from capital outlay. The total dollars available for the project are $165.7 million. Again, before any sale of property or capital outlay. So how does that then relate to what's remaining for the project? So I think everything's up to date here, but the district to date has spent about it's a little over $150 million worth of expenditures out of the project fund, which obviously leaves a little bit over 15 million to allocate or to use. And if I recall correctly, if I'm reading this number right, there's about right around $15 million left of projects that the district can improve and use bond proceeds to pay for.
I guess at this point, I would add here too, so if we go back here to the revenue side, the things that are variables, the things that are left that will change would be that arbitrage yield, that number comes from Dustin and Piper Sandler, and I think it's safe to say that's a conservative estimate as far as the board is concerned. We don't want to overextend ourselves and have spent more on projects and then come find out we owe a little bit more in arbitrage. So the arbitrage amount, that's a pretty safe number. It's not going to exceed 2.2. That's a fair way to say it, Dustin?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, I think there's obviously some unknowns. Obviously, it depends on the timing of when the money is spent. So we just want to be a little cautious as we're planning for this point. But we would hope, right? We would hope that the amount would be higher than what we're showing here today.
Yeah. So then the interest earned is obviously variable also. We're estimating that there'll be another $100,000 in interest between now and the time all of those project funds are exhausted. The last variable, like Dustin mentioned, would be the sale of property. How much is allocated toward projects from that sale of property? Then when we come over to the budget and expense side, a couple things that are variables. The first would be everything in Felton right now is placeholders, right? Because we don't have GMP, and so until there's GMP and all of that happens, everything in Felton is a placeholder. There is, like this, the budget side is updated and up through final completion at Roosevelt. So those numbers have all been anything that was left in little pockets for, whether it was the third-party testing or any of that stuff that's been, had been there, has now been moved around and is part of the placeholder in Felton. We've made some updates at Hayes High as things have finished. There's still expenditures coming for Hayes High, and Laughlin. Hayes Middle is wrapping up, and we'll talk a little bit more about that too. So again, here we're down to the only variables left are Felton, and that's on the budget side. Again, that has an impact. Right now, as Dustin said, there's about $15 million sitting there. There's about 6.5 that is placeholder at Felton, but depending on that property sale, really you could be more like 7.3 is what's available to be used at this point. The rest of it's spoken for in Hayes High or Laughlin. Sorry to jump in there, Dustin, but I kind of combining our normal conversation around the bond project update with what you're reviewing here. So.
Yeah, thanks for doing that, Chris. That's perfect. Yeah, you have a lot of on-the-ground intel there on the project and expenditures. Thank you.
So questions, conversation for Dustin?
I don't know who this is for. The half-cent sales tax renewal date is?
2031. Yeah, 2031.
2031.
And that's about five.
Oh, five, yeah.
Yeah, about 5 bills is what that would equate to. 5.98. Yeah, we're projecting 11.152 through into project, and like Justin said, once we have cash balances, that number will change anyway. But projecting 11.152 without the sales tax, the number changes in 2032 to 17.5. And again, that's estimate based on what the board decides the appropriate cash balance and everything is, but today's snapshot, it's almost at 6 mil.
So we have about 6 more years on this one. Okay.
Where is those funds held? With them? The sales tax?
No, so if you remember the first part, the conversation around bond and interest, that money is here at the district. That's what we use to make payments to repay the bond. It's the project fund, the second half with the budget and completing the projects. That's what's at Security Bank and being invested there.
Okay, so but he also mentioned 11 mills goes toward repayment of the bond. So that's
Right. So
state
the
money.
11 Yeah, all the mills go to repayment of the bond. The only revenue in the project fund is what came from sale of the bond premium, and now the interest on those funds as we're holding it, waiting to make payments on the project completion.
Hey, guys, that's a good point, Chris. I'll just make this comment. So revenues, so that all revenues collected for the bond repayments have to be used to repay bonds. The dollars that are in that fund, okay, so whether it's sales tax or property tax, all dollars in the bond and interest fund, which is again a budgeted fund of the school district, no dollars can leave that fund for any other purpose. It has to be used for repayment bonds.
So in 2026, we were able to pay some of the bonds off? Is that the first when they're due? Some of the bonds?
So here's the amortization schedule is here. Each individual one? Yeah, I don't, go ahead, Dennis.
Yeah, so there's annual principal and interest payments. Sorry, there's annual principal payments and semi-annual interest payments. Principal payments are every September, and interest payments are September and March.
But some of the
What you're
bonds,
seeing here is a combined. We have kind of shown a consolidated here, show what the total payment is. But yeah, the amount there is a combination of principal and interest.
So our first payment will be to interest in March of this year?
You're not seeing prior. I'm sorry, you're not seeing the previous years. We're just showing you like now going forward because the payments have already been made. You're just seeing from the time that we did this analysis going forward, not in arrears.
That's fine.
If you go back to here, you can see, and again, I know it's too small to see up there, but it's in your board packet. If you go back to this one, this shows you the time of payment there at the very bottom, the expense total in August, because it's due in September, but we have to make the payment in August, so it actually is coming out of August financials. But we paid 5.2 in August. That was interest and principal. And then in February, we paid 3.3 of last year. This year, we paid 5.299 interest and principal. In March, in February, for March payment, we'll pay 3.27.
but we can pay some bonds early. And what's the earliest date that we could pay some off? That's my question to Destin.
Yeah, great question. So early bond repayment. So typically there's standard what we call provisions or prepayment provisions relative to bond transactions. If I recall correctly, I can follow up with Chris to get the exact date, but I believe these bonds are eligible to be prepaid early in 2030 or 2031.
At the last time that one of you were here, I don't know if you were here at the last time, there was a date that was said that it was in 2026, which would mean this year. But you don't think there's any that are due now, coming up this year, that we could pay early?
No, not prepay early. No.
Okay, so where is that information located?
It's in the offering. I just don't have it. If you give me a second, I can pull it up.
You can share, I mean, if you want to share it, Dustin, we can share it back out the next meeting or get it to you.
Yeah, it's in the offering document. So when bonds are sold, it's in all the legal documents relative to the bond sale. I have to look up the legal documents to get the exact date. So I can get the.
Because some come earlier, but you think the first one's in 31?
Yeah, so that's the date, and every
But
bond after that date is eligible to be prepaid
And you said or refinanced?
or refinanced, correct? Yep. For savings, yeah.
So we can't refinance anytime before 31?
So.
Interest rates are going down, so.
I can get into some weeds on this. I would say, so
Not if it's
in
at 5.
2017,
4.1,
Congress
Finance higher.
got rid of one of the mechanisms that school districts or all governmental entities use to refinance for tax-exempt bonds. It's called a tax-exempt advanced refundings. So that was eliminated by Congress in 2017. There are a couple mechanisms depending upon market interest rates and potential buyers of bonds that if rates got to a certain level, there could be what's called a convertible refinancing, which means we would refinance on a taxable basis, and then it would convert to tax exempt upon the prepayment date. There's a lot of technical things that would go into that, but I would just say generally speaking, to do a current refinancing of tax exempt bonds, that date's going to be at the prepayment date, which again, I believe is going to be somewhere in the 2030-31 time period.
But I think at this point, Dustin, we're a long ways away from beating 4.12 anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we were, I mean, it all depends, yeah, I mean, it all depends on, I mean, the rates in the market and the bonds we're refinancing. So just for some reference purposes, so you think about refinancing a mortgage of your home, right? You're refinancing the entire mortgage. Bonds are going to be a little bit different. You can be very selective. So you can do what we call a savings by maturity. So you basically take new interest rates, you compare them to old interest rates, and you can be very selective in terms of what bond maturities you refinance that produces the most savings to the school district. So it's what I would call it's kind of like a partial refinancing. So depending upon the market and where the interest rates are better than where they were on the old bonds, you can either refinance all of the bonds or just portions of the bonds.
Okay, so you said the average was 4 point something's the average, so what's the range? High and low on those bonds?
Yeah, 4.12 is the average interest rates.
So we have some higher and lower, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it's going to be average. Yeah, it's going to, I would say it's everything probably up to 5%.
And so it'd be advantageous for us to look at those higher ones to try to pay off earlier if we could,
Yep.
as soon as we could. Now, do I see this right, and I don't know if it's Chris or Dustin, we have in the sales tax revenue right now, 1.6 million? And some change, almost 1.7. Is that as January 1st?
Depending on if you printed something, I updated this today because we got our sales tax revenue, so we're actually at 2027666 through December.
That's on-
202?
Yeah, that's in today, that's on the PowerPoint.
I'm just looking at the investment report that you had in the packet, so
Okay, yeah,
that's
no,
that's
that
old.
that was through November. It was another 348,949 in December.
And so that's in a separate fund that stays there, and we just get interest on that.
Right.
And so last September, what was our, and that, we haven't had very many principal payments, because the first 2 years, we didn't pay anything on principal, right? Just interest only?
First year was, I think both payments were interest only.
Interest only.
Go back and look. We've got the amortization schedule is posted at Fort Knox Center. I'll put that back out so you can see it again.
And it has what we owe now, I mean, because we've been paying interest, so now, how much is the total that we owe, I guess? Does he have that?
You guys, what's our outstanding balance is what you're asking?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I can answer that question, and I also just want to, your question on the call date. So I just looked it up in the legal documents here. It's September 1, 2031 is the prepayment or call date on the bonds. So all bonds maturing 2032 and thereafter are repayable or callable in 2031. So you asked about outstanding balance. Let me just get my calculator out real quick and do some math for you. We made a principal payment of $1,840,000 in September 1 of 2024, and a principal payment of $1,975,000 on September 1 of 25. So it's $3.815 million. Subtract that from $143,500,000 gives us our outstanding balance of, what is that? That's $139,700,000 and some thousand. I have 685.
So the earliest we could prepay is in 31?
Correct, yeah.
Anybody have any other questions?
When will you be back to visit with us again?
I think probably the best time it would be as the board's reviewing the budget and the mill levies for the various funds. I think that would be the best. At that point, we're going to have more data on sales tax, and we're also going to know what the valuation of the school district is as well, and so we can start thinking through some of the strategies related to the bond and interest fund and whether the 26-27 budget, what that strategy looks like relative to the bond fund levy.
How often do you work with Chris or the administration to update them on things? Is that something you do regularly, or you just send documents, or do you have a meeting with them?
Yeah, I think we're in fairly frequent contact on matters related to not only the project fund, but also the bond and interest fund and the financial plan.
Okay.
We good? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Yeah.
Feels like he's in a pond.
You're going to just project.
With the mermaid come by or something, or a seahorse.
Yeah, let's keep this G-rated.
We're ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on up.
Let's talk cell phones.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So, did you have that presentation? No, you're fine. So, as we got started, I just wanted to, I was just thinking today, what would be a couple simple phrases that I could summarize this project of ours, and it ended up coming up with the work is hard, but it's worth the struggle. And the caveat I should give is, when I talk to stakeholders, really any adults that I bump into on this subject, teachers, staff, parents, community members, there's an overarching sentiment that seems to remain, and that is, the work is hard, but it's worth the struggle. We're not wanting to or planning to stop this policy or procedure. We wanted to thank support from superintendents, Board of Education, all the stakeholders. I remember when I came here last year and said, hey, this is probably something we really needed to be doing. It is an absolute collaborative team effort. It is. And the last phrase I wrote is, our young people are worth it, period. I just feel like as I continue, as we, all of our team, continues to have this conversation, those are the summarized points here. So I just have a couple things to share tonight and then can answer any questions as to how we're doing. We had a really strong clarification of rules and expectations coming off of first semester to the second semester. Remember, we just started. First day of school, brand new high school, brand new cell phone policy. And then, any time that you start a year and then you come back and you're in that second semester, it's good to recalibrate's the word that we use. We've used Tuesday 10, our staff meetings, lots of parent and in-person communication, sent a video out to students and parents the night before the semester as clearly and as kindly as we could state it, and then gave a teacher survey last week. Tonight I'm going to kind of go over some things with you. We've had 431 phone violations. So the specific numbers, meaning those are cell phones that have come to the office by 300 different students. To summarize some of these teacher responses, again, there were 57 teachers that responded to this. We asked them to reflect backwards a little bit, so thinking back to August, September, thinking to October, November, December, and thinking of just the last couple of weeks. We ask about basic, again, our policy is, just to remind you, it is 8:05 to 3:15. You're not to have your phone and not be on it, so we're prohibiting the use of it, knowing that our kids are carrying them around out of sight. Our data, to super summarize this, is a strong push towards the equity of enforcement of that policy across all of our staff. And really, to summarize, it's going very well. And I am proud of our people, and I mean everyone. That includes the parent conversations, the students working with us, and all of our teachers. This was one of the questions. With the exception of an occasional reminder, students' phones were completely out of sight from 8:05 to 3:15. So when you look back to August and September, right, 38% we were like, yes, that happens daily, but 61% was disagree, which means though they were supposed to not have them on them or using them, right? Sorry, not on them, using them, we still had to do a lot of reminding. Then as you look at October, November, December, we're at 50 and 49, close. But then again, last week, looking back at the last 2 weeks, 82.5% of our teachers say that they're really out of sight. Then we asked the teachers to have some perception of their peers, meaning what does the follow-through of this look like at the student desk, at the teacher desk in our school. When you look back to August and September, it's all staff complying with the cell phone policy 90% of the time. And you look back in August and September, we had some room for improvement, 24% to 75%. You look at October, November, and December, 31% agree that we are all doing this 90% of the time, but 68% not quite. But then when you look at January in the last couple weeks, we're at to almost 90%, saying that we are 90%. So just, again, really positive movement. And it's like any other initiative. It takes some doing to establish the ground rules. And the word we use in education all the time is collective efficacy. Does this person do the thing that this person's doing? And we build that equity into our system. So it's got to be the same for everybody. And then, did you have a question? I could pause for sure.
No.
Okay. So here's the really good news. Again, you can click on, there's all kinds of conversations, articles. Kansas is talking about this. We feel like trying to be very proactive. I'm just going to read these for all of us. When comparing this year to last year, student engagement has increased without the distraction of cell phones. These are our teachers, 57 of them. 89% say they agree or strongly agree. When comparing this year to last year, participation has increased, class participation. And then the most profound stat I would share with you tonight, when comparing this year to last year, student-to-student interactions have increased without the distraction of cell phones, 93%. And then when comparing this year to last year, teacher-to-student interactions, 87% agree or strongly agree. So again, really positive data. General comments from staff, I just clipped some. It's refreshing to see students socializing, conversations academically, non-academically, interaction with peers. Teachers are on their phones less too. We do see some more smartwatches that pop up, tablets, loving the student interaction. Let's see, love how kids talk to each other. I do miss using the phone sometime in class. I appreciate people being honest. With the new cell phone policy, I believe more teachers are monitoring and also modeling again. positive things. To summarize student comments, some of you have students, or we all have proximity to students. I think they understand it's good for them, at least that's what they say, but that doesn't mean that they love it, and that's fair. If you ask Sean, circa 1996, I might have a different opinion than Sean standing here tonight. I think that's fair. Many students welcome the restriction because they understand their addiction. I've had kids tell me that. Students absolutely see and call out variation of our follow-through of policy, because they do. They're like, wait a minute, that person's not doing it like that person. They take notes when teachers are on their phones. And then I had to put this with a smile too. When we have a kid come to the office with their phone, the most common thing they tell us is, sorry, I was on the text with my mom and dad. And so that's just real. I had to give you a little real here as we go. But overall, though, seriously, I feel like this has been a good thing for us, and I'm proud of the work of everybody involved. So, and I thank everyone for their support. So I could certainly answer questions.
Sean, on this survey, is that teacher survey, or students?
Teachers.
Teachers only?
My students are more anecdotal in nature, talking to them and being real with them when we have the conversations to have their phone come to the office.
Well, I was in the high school the other day, Sean, and went through the lunch area, and it was nice to hear it loud. So I appreciate the conversation. I know my child doesn't always agree with it, but it's the right thing, and I tell her those are the rules, and that's what we got to do. So if you look at legislative update that they have in the board packet, that'll be a talk in the state of Kansas, so I think we're ahead of schedule.
So it's really for like state assessments, but have you seen any like increase in grades or, academic improvement?
Yeah,
besides
well,
just social?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. I think that's something we're going to continue tracking, especially as we get through the season of testing and all those things, yeah. But I mean, if I extrapolate the teachers talking about all that engagement, I think that's where it's leading for sure. But I'd love to track that, and we will, proudly, just as like any other initiative. Let's look at the data, see what it says. So I think we're trending the right way, but I agree with you. That's something we really want to track, yes.
I mean, besides academic, discipline should be, I would assume it would be lower too.
Yeah, that's the stat I can't give you. When not everybody's constantly communicating on a cell phone.
Or stirring each other up.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. It's unbelievable. I don't know how to say it other than to say the temperature of the school is so much lower when that's not happening. And I don't have a stat for that. I just have a feeling for that. I think the other thing that's important to say about our cell phone policy is we don't take cell phones. The kids bring them to us. So we have interactions with lots of kids. And if they continue violating the policy, we have interactions with their parents, which to me is great. Any partnership that we can create with families is wonderful. That is what schools should do. So that's a win. So we've had a lot of interactions, so that's okay. That's part of it.
So they can bring their device, but they just can't be out?
We are prohibiting the use of it.
Okay.
Do I know that, just like as I look at you right now, I guess if that's your phone, I can see it. If you were in school right now, I'd be like, you can't have that, please, sir. But if it was in your pocket right now, you are not violating our policy. It's not out. If you pull it out, you run the risk of any teacher in our school, any staff member saying, hey, could you please go to the office with your phone? And that's exactly what it sounds like. And you and your phone would walk to the office. Yep.
And you have hall monitors as well that do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, what we say is all staff. And it doesn't need to be any more difficult than, hey, Ruth, I see on your phone, please take that to the office. And that conversation happens daily.
Is our policy similar to other schools that you've seen?
A little bit. I mean, sometimes they work to lock the phones up, whereas what we are prohibiting is the use. I will say we were trying to, for lack of a better word, provide warnings. The first semester, we were trying to get people used to it. So our same conversation, Alan, I'd say, hey, please put that away. We were trying to get everybody in the groove, and our data showed that that's why we didn't have as much unilateral buy-in here. The second semester, if we see it, you're coming to the office. And I think that has established a very, very clear expectation, and it has gone a lot better. So.
And you mentioned that the staff is much more consistent between this teacher and this teacher. That was a little bit different.
Sure. I think anytime you start something new, it takes a little while to get that collective efficacy. But I think sometimes it's the fear of the unknown, but like, having to tell a kid to take their phone to the office. But then once you've done it and you realize that these are our policies, this is how it works, I think we all get better together. And I think that's why we are better now than we are the first time we did this. Yeah.
Thank you for the update, Sean.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Okay, next up would be 5.1 reports. Mr. Wilson.
Yeah, just real quickly, legislative session opened up last Monday, and probably as far as activity, it was probably about as busy of a first week as you will see in the legislature. I have included a ton of the carryover bills, meaning bills that were introduced last year, for some reason never, they either died or didn't get voted on. They can be brought back. Just so you're aware of some of the things that were out there last year that can be brought back. I've also included some of the new bills that have introduced that have already been introduced. So I won't spend a ton of time. The one thing I do want as a board, I think you need to pay attention to is there's going to be a lot of work on property tax, which that has been an emphasis, and we've heard that, which is a great thing. Is that for everyone, but please understand that a lot of these things will affect us at the school level. When they talk about capping valuation, Dustin mentioned that there's some things we can't control. Well, there may be some things in place where they might put I've heard 3% cap on valuation being raised. And so that is, in a sense, putting controls on that. Of course, that is something that affects everything that we do. Talking about bond repayment and in terms of just things that we do with capital outlay and things of that nature.
Well, and that's what I think's interesting, Ron, is, I've been on the board now, this is my third year going, and the residential property tax exemption's gone from $40,000 to $75,000, now looking at $150,000 that's exempt taxes. So you also look at personal property that will also be taken away from the district, which is about, what, Chris, $350,000 a year approximately, somewhere in there. That's your golf carts, your boats, your things like that that we'll no longer get revenue from. Then if you look at sales tax, and if that doesn't pass again, when that time comes to vote, that's a lot of money that's taken away from the district. And where are you going to get it from? You're going to get it from property tax because you still have to operate, which is still hard on everybody.
Yeah.
So we really have to think about those things moving forward.
Yeah, it's, it all sounds good, but also understand there's ramifications that are going to come with that, that people sometimes, don't always understand. So won't spend a lot of time, I don't need to necessarily spend a lot of time on that, because it's just the beginning of the legislative session, and the one thing that I've learned, a lot of things are going to change between now and May. So we'll just kind of monitor it, and we'll get more specific as things get closer. Just wanted to also talk, Governor Kelly delivered her last State of the State address. I thought some interesting points. She did bring up, and we've already talked about that, the supporting the cell phone ban. Like Bruce said, I think we're way ahead of the ball game there. The budget, she presented her budget, which I thought she had some, of course, full funding for K-12 for the next 2 years. And she also, proposed that extending the school finance for 1 more year, just to give everybody more time if the finance formula is to be changed. Doesn't necessarily mean that it is going to be changed, but she proposed that. And you've seen some of that in bills being introduced, that there is maybe some appropriations work being done to look at extending that into 28. I thought it was interesting, special ed. Governor Kelly recommended an increase of $50 million to special ed. That was kind of unique in terms of last year. I think it was over $100 million. She recommended, of course, they didn't follow that. They only gave it $10 million. Once again, I will tell you, we have to see an increase in sped funding. It's just a must. $50 million would be great if we could get that, but we can't continue just to get $10 million and still operate at the same levels. Some things will have to get there. Just School Board Recognition Month, I did want to highlight, just thank you guys for your efforts, your time that you put in, your service, just the impact that you do with our students and our staff to provide that quality learning experience for every student every day in every classroom. I appreciate what you do and the time that you commit to doing this. So just like everyone, we don't have a huge crowd, but I just want to let everyone to help me thank our school board in recognition of School Board Recognition Month. So thank you.
Ron, can I build on that? I was reading from KSB that the 28th or 29th of this month is also School Board Clerk Appreciation Day.
Well, let's go.
So
there you
that
go.
ought to be recognized also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get her a nice tea.
All right, next up is action discussion item 6.1, bond update.
Yep, Crystal, you're here now.
Good evening. I'll wait for her to pull up the PowerPoint presentation, but just want to say thank you for taking the time this evening, allowing me to come forward and give you guys an update, not only for Hayes Middle School and the prime contract change order, but what we're tracking for Felton Elementary. So as discussed, we're going to be looking at PCC 04. That's an acronym for Prime Contract Change Order. That's going to be a return to the district for just over a little over $100,000 for unallocated contingencies and allowances. We were tracking for that project. And then Felton Elementary School, just wanted to provide a bid update for that project. Excuse me. So for Hayes Middle School, we would have a prime contract change order 4 that would be voted on this evening to return $101,708.87 for the middle school GMP. That would be from the owner contingency, construction contingency, and the 5 allowances we were holding for that project. Originally, we had just over $200,000, so we're returning just shy of 50% of what we were holding for that. So that's good news, and those funds can be re-injected into the bond, not only for Felton, but anything else the district would like to obtain with those bond funds.
Just to that point, that has been, I assume you're going to approve the change order, that has been reallocated then back into the placeholder as part of what's on the development line right now.
And then here with every bond update, we've updated what we're tracking for the 5 projects with the bond. That column there on the far right, Hayes Middle School, those green cells show that it's a dollar figure that we have finalized for that project. Anything you see in yellow for example, O'Laughlin and Felton, those are either allowances or things we're currently tracking. O'Laughlin, obviously, because that project's still in progress, and then what we're looking at for Felton. The 2 items that are yellow for Roosevelt and Hayes High School, those are just reimbursables that DLR is still working on with the district. But yeah, so all good news for Hayes Middle School. We can stay on this slide, but for Felton Elementary, we had our pre-bid meeting there at the job earlier this month. We had a fantastic turnout of 33 contractors, some as far as Nebraska and Kansas City. On bid day, we had 22 bid packages and received 83 bids for that. So on average, we want to try and obtain at least north of 3 bids per package. So that's very good news on how the market's tracking. As far as scope, we're adding an entryway off of the northeast side there for the kindergarten, first grade pickup. All interior, flooring, ceiling finishes. There's going to be bathrooms framed and installed in the kindergarten and first grade classrooms, and then some subgrade drainage for the soft play areas on the west side and south side of the project for those particular grades. Carpet tiles in the classrooms, resilient resinous flooring, similar to what you've seen at the Hayes Middle School project in Roosevelt. So yeah, I would open it up to any questions the board would have.
So what was the turnover date for Hayes Middle School? Have you,
Yeah, it would have been 12/19,
12/19?
correct, of 25.
And do you know about the Hayes High?
I believe that would have been 8/14 of 2025.
So have you gotten all the letters from all the civil engineer, the mechanical engineer that said that everything's done by bid specs?
Yeah, so in order for us to obtain a letter of substantial completion from DLR Group, we have to have that not only from them, but their engineers, as well as the municipalities. So what we do there is we present them with our punch list, and particularly if the building is being used as intended, such as the school or the district comes in and moves in and starts moving into classrooms, that would be that date of substantial completion. So there's many levels of sign-off that have to happen there.
Do you still have a punch list, or are you all complete with that?
For which project?
For both projects, Hayes High, and there's a big substantial one for Hayes High, is it done?
Yeah, for Hayes High, we're currently operating on a TCO. One of those items, there's 2 weir walls on the project, one on the northeast side and one on the south side. We just recently walked that with Curtis Dinas with the city, and there's some changes that he wants to see be made. It was built per plan that was submitted for permit to the city, but just, through time, as you see erosion and water compile as the dirt settles, there's some small adjustments he wants to make there. But as far as the interior of the building for the high school, everything's been done and signed off for both punch list and the city's requirements.
And you said that might be the turnover date, but what about the closing of the job date?
As far as financially, or?
As far as Hayes High and is it punch lists are done for both, so they closing the job as of what date?
Yeah, punch list would be done. The date of substantial completion would have been 8/14. Now, there's items that are going to arrive either through, Hero HQ that we receive from Rusty and his team for items we need to address. Some of those are warranty items. Some of those you could consider punch list items or request by the district or a teacher. So we track those throughout. But the initial punch list we had that we needed to submit to DLR Group, those have all been resolved.
Because that was several pages, and so they weren't completed in August, so our turnover date, completion date was still August when they were still big on the list?
Yeah, the punch list items required to obtain a letter of substantial completion for the building to be used as intended was 8/14. Some of those items at DLR, the city of Hayes, and their engineers that you could consider punch list items weren't preventing the building from being used as intended on 8/14. So
I guess the closing of the job statement, because that's when the warranty date starts. So what?
no, the warranty date starts from the date of substantial completion.
Okay. So that you're talking about that is the 18th.
8/14 of 25, yes.
And the 19th in
12/19 of 25 for Hayes Middle School. That's correct. And we recently, just because of how large the high school is, 260,000 square feet, we walked that with the district, kind of, we'll call it a 5-month punch list walk or warranty walk, just to go over some items. That way, you're not hit with a list of 100 things that need to be resolved. We can kind of work through that as we're still here on site working through the bond projects.
So we had all the problems with the bathroom locks, and have you repaired all those?
Yes, sir.
And you do that for the entire year?
Yes, sir, as they come forward. A lot of those items come in through Hero HQ. Rusty's team sends those to us. Those go to all members on the team, even our team that's still in Kansas City, and we resolve those. I'm on site still full-time. I know Sean can speak to a lot of items. Even at 11 o'clock at night, I'm just a phone call away, but we try and handle those as quickly as possible to not impede on the staff and students.
So your guys, they're still here on site? Will
Yes, sir.
take care of those?
Okay. Anybody else?
Warranty work, some of the warranties are 5-10 years on some of that mechanical stuff. How's that work?
Well, that would be a warranty that the contractor is carrying. So our construction warranty is 1 year. However, some of the equipment might have a 10-year warranty on it that the district would contact them directly to resolve those. But for example, we had some balancing, I won't call issues, but items, just as we're getting the building climatized and the building's, filling itself out. There were some spots where we had some hydronic piping that was leaking and those ceiling tiles got wet, so items like that just occur through a building, once it's been opened up and is going through its intended use, we address those as they come, and rather than, let them wait till that 11-month warranty walk we'd have with the district.
Anybody else have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And is this, Mr. Wilson, where we want
You're
to
just gonna,
make a motion on the allocation?
I'll make a motion to accept the return of unallocated contingencies and allowances originally included in the Nabholz GMP for the Hayes Middle School project in the amount of $101,708.87, which will be allocated to remaining bond projects.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you very much. It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing no other discussion, I shall call for the vote. All those in favor, vote yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Passes 7-0. 6.2, KASB recommended policies.
yeah, these are just policies, we're going back, we went over them on December 15th. Just a whole list of policies there. I don't know if anybody has specific questions before vote.
I do.
Yes.
In reference to IKD and IKDA, referring to the religion
Yeah.
in education, if there is a student with religious exceptions, how is the teacher notified? And is it at the beginning of the year, the beginning of the semester? And if the religion is not something that the teacher is supposed to talk about, or it's common, maybe it's not the religion that the teacher practices, how is the teacher supposed to know what material is acceptable or
Sure,
not?
and there is some responsibility for parents to relay anything and say, this is certain content, I want to make sure it is on the parents. It is on us to make sure that if that is going to be, to let that parent know this is happening this week or this month or whenever.
So with all the information that's put on Canvas, that should be plenty for the
Yeah,
parents?
that's the notification really, that probably at the high school level,
Yeah, okay,
middle school.
that's all I wanted.
The one recommendation that we did not include, I think it had to do with graduation requirements or something. How are you going to address that? Are you going to bring that to us at a later date, or we're not going to even put it in?
Yeah, I thought we had talked about how we already covered it.
We were ahead of the KASB policies, and it had been reviewed, so we didn't need to revisit it.
So our policy matches KSB exactly?
No, not exactly, because we did it prior, so
Our current language already,
our current language takes into effect what KSB has.
When did we approve that change?
about 2 years ago?
Yeah. I'd have to go look at the date.
Can you send me that then?
Yes.
But the focus was just on, it was really just about focusing on credits. So I think that's, yeah.
Because we had also, but yeah, I'll send it to you.
Thank you. And can you highlight or tell us what the difference of what KSB recommends and what we have?
Yep.
Thank you.
5/13/2024.
Can you repeat that?
5/13/2024, and the policy is IHF.
Okay. Anybody else? Thank you. All right, entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the presented KASB recommended board policy changes.
Thank you very much. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing no other discussion, we shall vote. All those in favor vote yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed, no.
7-0.
Passes 7-0. Next up is 6.3, notice of property sale, sealed bid, notice of real estate.
Yeah, what you have in front of you is the notice of real estate for sale. Working with Bill and I worked together to get this worked up. This is just, we're doing a sealed bid process. Also, some of what we talked about last time is that, if someone is submitting a bid, we ask for them to submit what they're planning to use for it, a schedule, timeline of those nature. And then, of course, the board would have the opportunity to ask questions if they wanted more information. And just that, once again, we can reject any bids. We're not held to accept any. So I don't know. Bill, is there anything that you want to throw in?
No.
How are you listing? Sorry.
If you have any questions, but
So if we pass the motion, we're going to offer.
Yeah,
Okay.
get it out.
Okay.
How do you mean get it out? How are you listing it? Is it going across the state or across the nation? How are you showing that? Because we're not going through a realtor, are we? We're just, is that like listed?
We're doing sealed bids, so we wouldn't use a realtor.
Okay, but we're selling property, there needs to be, some people know about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've had numerous people reach out already asking about it, so we'll get it on our website. We'll make sure anyone who has reached out, make sure that they get notification on that. So.
Are we going to go into all papers, or how are you going to get that out?
Well,
Website, people don't look at
Bill,
the
what do you
website.
got? What do you want to get on that? I mean, we can definitely put it wherever we need to.
well, we've sold property before. We can look back and see how we advertised previous sales.
At our last meeting, we had talked about having MLS listings so people from outside could look at lots available or property in town. Is that something we can?
I don't think we can without hiring a realtor who puts it on multi-list.
I saw some properties on like Realtor.com as a private party. I don't know if that's true or
Oh, I
not.
thought you were referring to the local
Well, I'm talking-
multi-list.
Well, like the MLS listing, they can pull it up on Realtor.com or whatever website
You
have.
can wing list it anywhere.
Well, I just thought
Yeah.
that somebody just looking to come to town and looking for, lots to build a business, that'd be I feel like that's how most people would do it.
If it's sealed bid, can you use MLS?
I think he's still listed as a property, and then, they list auctions and stuff that are going up, things, so I don't think you have to necessarily list the price. Again, I'm more of a realtor or a realtor expert, but I think that'd be the best bang for your buck to get it out there.
And at what point, Bill, would it be like if you said somebody wanted to build a business, would that have to be city involvement? Since it's-
Probably have to get a zoning change.
It's currently zoned for residential?
I don't know.
I did send that. I
Yeah,
can't remember
it
what
did
was.
say.
Shouldn't that be in this, what it's zoned for ought to be in?
No, they can, if you're going to buy, you need to do your own due diligence. I don't think we need to be doing
It's
it.
in the boundary survey.
I agree.
But if they want to rezone it, that's up to them.
That's up to them.
It's on us.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying rezone, I mean, they should know what they're getting.
Well,
Should be put on here.
they do their own due diligence.
Yeah, it's part of what they're going to do.
Yeah.
I just hope that we're careful when something like that comes in, that you're considering
So,
that being by another school that we have, so think about that.
So we don't have to take action on this, do we?
I put down a motion just to, I don't necessarily know by, anything that you need to,
I don't,
but just so we,
we already
yeah, you've already
approved it.
approved that it's going to sell. This is just saying, okay, everyone's good with all of it.
we're good with the form. Okay. So as a board, as a group, this will be a discussion in executive session about this is what we propose, or it's going to be out, and then
Yeah.
the discussion is, we like it or we don't like it?
We'll come to you with bids, or those bids will be,
It is not appropriate for executive session.
Okay, I'm just,
Yeah. We'll give you a recommendation most likely, and then, but it'll still be your decision on what you feel is
And
best.
so would we have those people here present?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something, and we can talk about that as that time gets closer, but I would think that we would probably ask them to come, if that's something that the board desires. And we've said it, that's important, that we know what's going on.
So-
I think anyone who's been in this.
so I guess the question is, are we asking the intentions of what they're going to use it for in
Yeah.
the seal bid?
Yeah, it's.
Okay, so that's,
Provide a statement of your
Okay.
use and development timeframe of the project.
and that would be what I was headed towards. Okay.
And so the sealed bids come to, do they usually go to the treasurer?
No, it says that it goes to,
Well, I know where it says, but it doesn't usually go to the treasurer.
It's always, when we've done it in the past, it's always gone to the superintendent.
Okay.
Is that normally?
There isn't anything normal, it's just however
Okay.
you want to do it.
Any other questions?
Is there, I guess I'd ask Alan, are you suggesting somebody else or what?
Well, usually, I would think you'd want somebody that hasn't had meetings with some of the developers to be in charge of the bids.
Well, you can, as a board, you can have anybody that you want present when the superintendent opens those bids. It's not,
I think we should have a
not done in
board member on
secret.
that.
That's not a
No,
secret.
That's overreach.
I think
I
as
don't
long as
agree.
it's Ron and Chris, I guess I put my faith in them. I mean,
Well,
I don't know that.
on March 4th at 4 o'clock, I just need to know no more than 3. I don't care if you guys don't come. Feel free, yeah. So,
Okay.
welcome. It's really not as exciting as you think it might be.
An invite has been issued. Any other questions?
I've been to a lot of openings. It's really not that-
very anticlimactic.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Okay, are we good? All right, then I'd entertain a motion.
I thought we were going to,
Are we a motion to approve this, or?
I thought I put a motion in there.
No, there's no motion.
Oh,
Okay, so how would you like to handle this?
I thought I put a motion in because I thought, well, if you want a motion, make a motion and just say a motion, but if you don't, I don't think it's necessary, but
Mr. Jeter?
You don't need a motion.
Okay, all right. Fair enough. 6.4, update HAVAC preventative maintenance agreements.
So if you remember, a year ago, February, we had equipment coming off of warranty after install, and we did a 5-year service agreement with Glassman to do quarterly PMs on boiler room and all of the units outside of the boiler room. This would be simply adding equipment that at that time was still either under warranty and or under, on all the stuff that Glassman had installed, like through what is Hayes Middle now, all of that when they did it, it came with 1-year PM while it was under warranty. Some of the other stuff, like at Roosevelt, was under warranty for the bond project. As that equipment is coming out of warranty and out of what was PM to install, we're just adding it to the 5-year PM right now, 5-year preventive maintenance service contract. So that would be what the proposal is here. There's two, so there, after this, there's only 2 things that are not under quarterly service contract, and that's Hayes High, the new building, and ECC. And so we'll probably, sometime in the next few months, send that out to bid. And those things, the high school comes out of warranty in July, and so sometime around there, we'll bring you bids on adding PM to the high school, but this would take care of everything except for high school and ECC building. ECC is, it's commercial, but it's more like residential. It's like forced air units inside there, so there's not as much. We'll probably bid it and see if we feel like there's, I say we'll bid it and they'll decide whether it's actually worth doing a PM on it or whether it's stuff that we're already doing anyway. but the high school will definitely want to do a preventive maintenance service agreement on that to do quarterly, so.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I move that we table these until our next meeting.
And that meeting is scheduled for,
We have 2 meetings.
yeah, I'm just trying to get the date for February 9th.
Can we ask the reason? to
Is that,
table?
hold on, is that your motion?
Please.
Okay. Was there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Just want another reason for tabling it.
Okay, so we have, these start, says it start January 1st. Well, we're approving them January 19th. And I'm not 2 weeks really doesn't bother me that much. But the thing that I don't see in here is the dates that all the items come off of warranty. They were accomplished at different times. We're paying for these starting now, but they might have been, we're paying for something that's some of the items that are still on warranty.
No, this is all items that are coming, my understanding, these are all items that are coming out, have come out of warranty.
And so
They weren't on the initial contract because at that time they were under warranty.
the initial contract with Hayes Middle School was what we have at Glassman now, and you're saying they're coming out of warranty. But that school wasn't even used for 6 months, but we were paying, and a lot of the units weren't even hooked up.
It was used because Hayes High utilized the pool.
From August until December
Well,
was,
it was installed previous, so yes, Hayes High.
but I'm saying is that should have been prorated because we're paying maintenance on items that weren't even hooked up. Some of the equipment, that remember they took it up and they took it down to do all the remodeling. And that's one of the reasons. We don't have it listed. To me, it just doesn't make sense that we are paying service agreement on a lot of these items that are warranty. Even though some of the warranty items are, like we talked about earlier, some of the blowers and some of the mechanical are 10 years, 5 years warranty, but we're paying maintenance on those. And I don't know, in the years past, we paid, I mean, our guys could change filters. We don't have to have somebody do filters. And so this shows, if I'm not mistaken, two times a year. We used to do it 3 times a year.
They get changed quarterly.
That's 4.
It says in here that it's inspection and cleaning twice a year.
They do it twice a year. They do it twice a year when they're doing the check over and the preventive maintenance checklist that they have. Our guys do it 2 times a year. This way, I think I understand it. But if you're going to.
So we're still doing the maintenance.
With more details if you have, if those are questions that you have. 'Cause I don't.
Well, my question would be, if it's out of warranty now, what happens until February?
Same as, I mean, this is to come in and do the scheduled preventive maintenance on it. Nothing's going to change in the next few weeks if we talk about it in February.
So I guess I have a couple questions. You're talking about getting bids for the next one, but this was not bid out. I guess why are we bidding the next ones but not these?
Well, because these are adding in equipment that was already in existing, so they're part of the larger building
I guess
scope already.
take it back to February when we, for the first ones, why weren't those bid? I mean, I guess this is kind of part of the same package, but why did we decide to bid the next ones but not the originals?
So, so the original ones were approved, they were a part of a state contract. So they were bid, we didn't do an individual bid. The feedback at that time was you would rather see us do an individual bid, so.
Are you talking about the actual installation of the equipment or the
No,
vendors being?
the PM. That was under a state contract. The BCS has a state contract, and then last one performed the work for them. But my understanding of the last one was you would have preferred having it like us local bid it, so we'll put it out to local bid this time.
Okay, that's fair. And then you kind of answered my next question as far as quarterly. So they're doing it twice a year, changing filters, washing things out, checking refrigerant levels, that sort of stuff. And we're changing the filters in between twice a year. provides the filters? Like, are they providing their own for the times that they come service?
No, we provide all the filters.
I guess, so the benefit to us is $10 an hour, goes instead of 125 per hour to 115. But any work that's done, anything that's warranted, they will warranty out the parts, but we still pay them for the labor. It's not covered under warranty. I guess where's the upside for us? It's $10 an hour difference, then a little bit on after hours or holidays. But if we're paying $125 an hour, that's what, 10 weeks worth of work that we could pay one person just to do it continuously. Like, where are we? How's this benefiting us?
So I think the benefit would be, I know because I have a contract with them at my work, and I'm priority because you have a contract with them. So if something happens to, let's say, Felton, and I call as a regular customer, I get priority over the middle school or whatever school because you're not a client, correct?
That's definitely a piece of it. I would say, I'm not the expert on the HVAC stuff. One, we don't have the manpower to be able to do the kind of, like, we can go change the filters, yes, but our guys are spending their time on other stuff. So we don't have the manpower to do the checklist level PM that they're doing. And so it's to get the labor at a rate, to get all of the preferential, all of that. There's also some monitoring, so they have like system monitoring on the software stuff. But if you have deeper questions than that, I'd say I'll have Rusty or Aaron or somebody come back at the next meeting to be able to answer.
Well, I guess that's where my question would be, $51,000 for changing filters, checking fluent, that sort of stuff on, was 162 units. Some are probably bigger, more in depth, some are smaller, probably just walk by and take a look at it. You can pay a lot of man hours at $125 an hour and get the same thing done. I just don't see where, prepaying for this is really saving as much as $10 an hour. Do you know what the weekend evening rate would be if it wasn't through this? 172, but...
The thing is, I think the benefit is that when you have people who are experts, they are looking at this equipment and they can identify issues as they work on it, where we may not have that ability.
I'm not even talking about our people doing it. I'm saying pay their $125 an hour to service these machines twice a year. We're paying for the filters. That's 10 40-hour work weeks for $51,000. So, unless somebody's going to spend 5 weeks doing the first one and then 5 weeks doing the second time, we're not coming out money ahead.
Yeah, but I guess my point was, when equipment goes down, it would go back to quality learning experience for our kids. It goes down dramatically because whether it's cold and we don't have heat, or that's the goal of this whole thing, is that those downtimes really are fairly limited. That's the benefit.
I don't think you understand my point. My point is, we still have glassmen do it, but I think it would be cheaper to pay their $125 hourly rate to service it twice a year. We still have money left over to pay, the $25 an hour, or 72. I think that, have you done the numbers? How does this make sense to us? I'm talking about having something out to work and it goes to glassmen. Glassmen's doing everything. But how are we doing better by giving them $51,000 in addition to paying for their service calls, paying for everything else?
So, fair question. I can tell you, last February we sat down. I sat in with Rusty as they were talking through BCS and all the stuff that goes into it. Yes, it's been looked at. I can't tell you. Let me bring that back to you in February and be able to address exactly what we're getting to
see if it's a good deal.
Yeah.
The other question I have is that most agreements like this, you can pay 20% down and then pay a monthly fee instead of having it all up front. Or unless we're paying at the end of the year?
No, this gets invoiced out quarterly as work is done. It's not an upfront payment.
It says an annual payment.
Yeah, it hasn't been that.
Oh, one time per year.
So is it a percentage?
Yeah.
And so the total, this is a total of $67,000 or something like that for a year?
Yes.
Plus, what do we already pay? What's the other agreement? that we have? It's like 60,000 or 80,000?
Yeah, those were all linked in your handout in Board Docs.
But what is it? It's another 80,000?
I think it's 80,000. It's in the-
If I remember right, okay. So, I mean, those are things that, and so we don't pay that, that's 80,000 a year or 80,000 total contract?
Per year.
So, I mean, you could hire somebody full-time. And all they do is HVAC stuff for 150,000,
Okay.
and that's all they
It would
do,
take
so.
more- It would take more than one, I think. I mean, I can tell you, again, we'll bring that back to you to get all the details. I can tell you, Glassman was moving into middle school to do PM round on that as we were getting ready to move, and there was 8 trucks out there. So, I mean, they're bringing an army in, and they were getting through doing all of it. But again, I'll bring you all the details of exactly what they're doing and how we've been.
All right, besides Rusty, maybe somebody from Glassman, if this does get,
And didn't you say that the first year, the warranty year, don't they go with our guys to teach them how to maintain things? And you said for the quarterly, for that first year of the warranty work? Does the Glassman work with our guys? That's usually a standard.
I mean, our guys are working with Glassman all the time. What I said, though, is on, like, the high school, when they put that in, they include in their bid 1 year of, they do the PM while it's under warranty.
Did
So that's
Glassman
why
not do that?
It's coming out. Say again?
Did Glassman not do that when we did?
Yeah, no, they did. That's what
Okay,
I'm
so
saying,
I
that
thought-
year is over, yeah.
okay?
But
What-
it's
what
not
date
like-
was
It
that?
hasn't been that way in all of the other, actually, it was specifically that way in the project that was Case High at the time, now in middle school.
Can you get those completion dates so that we know when that year starts? Because, you know, because
Yeah, that's been done. Yes,
so Roosevelt started, their year ends when?
so their contract on all the new addition, it's come out of warranty now. It's been 1 year since it was commissioned.
And that, did he say that was August? Okay, that was Case High.
But
Okay.
their warranties are January 1st to December 31st, aren't they? I don't think they do,
Yeah.
Should be 1 year from the date they're completed.
but I think this annual.
So, those would be good questions, answers to have, so we would know. Okay, all right. There's been a motion to table, moving my finger, a 6.4, to update the HAVAC to February 9th, the following school board meeting. Okay, having our discussions occurred, all those in favor of tabling 6.4 to February 9th, vote yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Those opposed to tabling, vote no.
No.
Passes 4-2, so 6.4 will be tabled till February 9th. You'll get a repeat on February 9th.
Ask a point of order for the public. Jamie, did you leave to recuse yourself?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make that.
That's fair,
clear.
yeah.
So you just didn't have to go to that.
Sorry.
Okay.
Missed the whole thing.
All righty. 6.5, student support specialist position at Felton Elementary.
Yeah, this is just a request for the board to consider approval of our student support specialist position for Felton Elementary, starting 26-27 school year. So it'll be starting in August. If you just remember, 2 years ago, we added 2 student support specialist positions. We added one at O'Loughlin and one at Roosevelt. And we still have the same support specialist teacher, student support specialist, it's hard to say, and at O'Loughlin. And technically, we have the same one at Roosevelt, but last year, we approved Jesse Groff to move from the student support specialist into administrator, assistant principal. The reason we did that was because we were moving to Lincoln. Primarily, Lincoln was moving to Roosevelt, increasing our student population, as well as with increased staff, there's just so many more needs. So this is the request to add for Felton, starting next school year, a student support specialist position. The idea is, like I've included in your board packet, it's just to assist the principal with, things that come up with any specifically with student behaviors, being able to handle some of those situations, and just keep with our district goals to make sure that we're handling everything in the right way. So that's where we're at. I'll answer any questions.
This is an addition to our staff?
Yes, this would be
And our budget will support that?
yes.
What's the current enrollment at Wilson to be felt?
It's right at Anita's here, 360.
365 is
Yeah.
where we're sitting right now.
Yeah.
And our plan is if enrollment supports it, we would add an additional section of kindergarten at, because we will have space.
And enrollment at Roosevelt is?
Right at 5, 6, right at 6, yeah. Yeah.
And O'Laughlin?
They're right, a little more than 360, but
Okay.
380.
The reason I'm asking is I'm just curious, like, student support specialist.
Yes.
Totally fine, totally great. Why that instead of an assistant administrator?
I think it's really, the reason we did that initially was just for budget reasons, because you're looking at paying 12 months versus 9 months. And that's the reason. It's just cheapens. Should we see increase? I mean, I think it's something that we could look at down the road, and we'll consider bringing to the board if we see it.
We also talked about opening it up wide, allows a greater applicant pool, because there might be somebody, I know at O'Laughlin, we hired someone with a mental health background, and I know that was part of our conversation too, is we wanted it to be broader than just limited to administrative applicants, if that makes sense. But we were looking for the right person, not necessarily the right credentials.
But I like the idea, we're hiring them for 9 months when the kids are there, and that's why we're doing it, not administrative duties that are,
I think like Roosevelt was at 4, some are 5 sections, that's bigger than 3. But like Anita said, with kindergarten enrollment, we want to make sure we have 4 sections. Before adding a 5th section at Roosevelt, we would add a 4th section at Felton to have those be 4 section schools as we go. And then of course O'Laughlin, we're at the 3 section. But, and in doing that, Alan, you asked about there may be savings through attrition where some smaller class sizes, we won't fill a position, and we might be able to reduce them. So I really don't think in the end of the elementary it will be an added position budget-wise, but that will be something we bring you as we kind of flesh those details out.
So currently we have counselors at every school.
Right.
And how about psychologists? One at every school. And then this is a support. So you don't think we're adding one? We'll just have one at every school.
Well, it's a new position that we're
Yeah, we
adding.
don't have it at Wilson yet. First of all,
Right.
Wilson hasn't had space, they will when they go to Felton, which is a big part. And then closing West Side, they can really fill that, not having that personnel this year. But again, they didn't have this space. So looking to next year when they have this space and they could be at 4 sections building towards that, we feel like it should add that position just like we did at Roosevelt and O'Laughlin.
Because-
Roosevelt is an assistant principal because of the size and the programs that are there.
because we did reduce an administrator from Lincoln, when we combined them, now we put it back, so.
Now, I know this is a budgetary concern, what I'm about to bring up, but like, I do think it's worth noting that the student support specialist, we have got to change that title, at O'Laughlin has done great things, amazing things, and I think that, like, I understand what you're saying, like, the larger pool to bring more aid to our classrooms is needed, but I don't think that should replace the need for assistant administration. I think they have different skills that they can provide, and I don't know. know, I would love it if each school had both. But there is something that administration can provide that non-certified cannot provide, specifically coverage in the classrooms and things that, you know, I don't know, I'm fine with this, like, I'll approve it, I think that's great, but I do think education is changing, and our schools are growing, and I think that assistant administration is needed, and I don't know.
What about our class sizes? Where are we at on those?
Well, I mean, our class sizes are under what we've set as limits, you know, 23 K, 20 kindergarten, first and second 23, and then third, fourth, and fifth up to 25. I mean, we are seeing some smaller classes come through, so like we said, we won't have, you know, we can reduce, go from 5 sections to 4 sections. So I think we're comfortable with the student support specialist now, not that. And we hope we grow and grew, and then we look at adding some administrative position, but that's where we feel like is the best support at this point. Agree on that?
This is an easy one for me with student support specialist. I like the question, do we have a counselor? Yes. Do we have a school psych? Yes. Education is changing a lot. We need more student support through there. You hear that from the teachers, from the parents, and the community. So I will support this.
Okay, anybody have any other questions?
Yeah. How many do we have total now, student support specialists between schools? Like,
Well, we'd have two, if this was approved, there'd be one at Felton, one at O'Loughlin, and then we have an assistant principal at Roseville.
okay, so this would be 2.5 kind of ish. And I guess, is any of this due to the west side moving the kids out and having more behaviors in the general population where it's tougher to, I mean, is any of this need another person
I
due
would
to?
say yes, and there's always need for additional support.
Well, but my question was, because of the decision made to move that population out and what we've heard from parents with concerns as far as behaviors disrupting classes, is it need for another person in response to that because we decided to move kids out of the west side to the other classrooms?
I would say there's probably some relation just from a general support, but this is a general ed position, not a special ed position. So if we were looking at adding special ed staff, I would say maybe so. But
So the staff that was at west side is still currently serving and now that they're split out more, we don't feel like that's making more of a strain on the staff that had been, you know, helping them
I
initially.
wouldn't say so, like overall.
Okay,
So Lindy's position is where?
She's an assistant special ed director.
Okay, so she's,
The whole co-op.
okay.
okay, any other questions related to this? All right, I'd entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the student support specialist position at Felton Elementary starting with this 26-27 school year.
Thank you, Jamie.
I second it.
And Craig seconded. I think Craig beat you, Ken.
I didn't see it.
He's got time delayed. Okay, any other discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Park?
So currently, we're not going to, budget-wise, do you have anything on the horizon that we're going to be adding more staff needed anywhere else, or do we look like we're in good shape as far as classes? Because we're,
We're continuing to, flesh, like Chan said, flesh things out to make sure that we're taking care of everyone's needs. The reason this is probably important that we get this done is because this could be someone internal, possibly, who might want this position, which opens up a position inside our district. So it also, we have people that are looking for jobs that might, not consider it if we wait. So I think that's.
but you're opening it up and going through negotiating agreement and all that,
Yeah.
how many days?
Yeah.
And advertising it and all
Yeah.
that.
Okay. I guess I had to come up with another question. This position would start next school year?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, okay. Anything else, Mr. Park?
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no more discussion, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor, vote yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed, no.
No.
6. Passes 6-1. Okay, I'm down to elections, and the 2.4 got moved, and mine won't reset. Is 2.4,
You can move that.
let's move that before elections so it happens. Okay, so 2.4, I'm going to roll back to that one. 2.4 was dealing with the surplus cells, correct? The surplus box truck and the January 26th Purple Wave. Mr. Parks?
Yes, so where's it located? I want to pull up that. Is it back in,
It's-
If you're in the agenda, it's
still at 2?
2.4.
So when I was looking at those items that you were wanting to, the surplus items, there's asset numbers on part of them, but not a lot of them, and why is that?
A lot of it is probably because a lot of this equipment has just been stored for probably up to 10 years or longer, and just been sitting in a warehouse somewhere. That's just get it out of the warehouse. A lot of the asset numbers were part of our asset tagging system that went through, but they were actually probably operational at that time, and that's the reason they have asset tag numbers.
And all the new furnishings and all things we've got, it comes with an asset number?
Yes.
The $1 million that
Sorry,
Hayes,
I'm locking for a second. I'll just
Yeah,
get you back.
yeah, everything that's new gets an asset tag number.
and is it asset location and
Yes,
building and room?
yes.
And you have that, which program did you go with? What's our asset program?
Asset inventory is the company that comes and does the inventory work. We store, and they give us, it comes out of an Excel, we're looking at asset review. Skyward is part of our ERP at some point, but it's a.
So they come and go to each building and put in asset tags and all that. So why is it all these items don't have asset?
Like I said, they were in storage. They were in a warehouse, packed all together. So when the asset tag, I would guess that they didn't unload all that so they could load it right back. So it's
But
probably,
we have asset,
a lot of this equipment's been in storage for 10, 15 years.
but we've had inventory way past that. So there should be asset tags on those.
Okay,
It was not tagged.
it's not tagged.
There's no tag on it now.
So, I get, but asset tagging, when I was employed, there was a person at Hayes High that when something would come in, they would tag. Is it still, we have internal people doing those for,
We have a rotation where we pay asset inventory
Okay.
services to come in.
so anything, we can assume anything that's been purchased in the last 10 years,
If it's over $1,100, it's
Yeah.
and there's a value. Okay,
Yeah, that's the other thing. A lot of
Okay.
this stuff isn't worth $500. Doesn't have to.
That's our threshold now, it's $500.
okay, fair enough.
Okay, so on this box truck, so we're selling that through Purple Wave, and it's Hayes Bus Barn, or Hayes. Why are we putting it down on those, through Purple Wave, Hayes Bus Barn instead of USD 49? I don't understand that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Well, it's USD 49's property, so it should be listed that way. It seems like you're playing games with,
No games played.
Okay.
Nothing under
So-
the table. Yeah.
earlier you said that those vehicles were sold by our enterprise.
We reviewed that, most of the vehicles sold through Enterprise, but we also consulted with them, and there were some that they felt like.
We'll keep set.
Purple Wave, that was the conversation about the last truck, I think.
So-
Which they mentioned when we talked about like signing the contract. They talked about finding the best deal for us possible and the best route that we should take. And they said sometimes that would be a Purple Wave.
And this is a 2003, so I'm sure it was not in the
Well,
initial
I'm
discussion.
talking about previous, we had 7 vehicles that sold in August, and we did not approve that. That was, and that's what I asked
I
about.
thought we didn't, like, we agreed that they would.
Okay. Any other questions pertaining to these two things?
Well, we need to follow the law by surplus property, and we should approve every item. And that just hope we continue to do that.
Okay. Any other discussion? I would entertain a motion to approve obsolete district property surplus.
I so move.
Thank you, Jamie. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion?
One thing I'd like to find or have you supply, where in the state statutes it says anything about obsolete property. It's all surplus. So I don't know why we're naming it something like that, especially when a lot of those items say good, the condition is good. So to me, that's confusing. And the state says surplus. I don't know why we label it something different. Because there's nothing as guidelines for obsolete property that I could find. Do you have anything like that?
State statute provides that the Board of Education has the authority to dispose of any school district property in any manner that they feel is in the best interest of the school district.
I understand that, but it's all listed as surplus. It's never.
Well, you can call it whatever you want to, Alan. You have the authority of the board to sell it or dispose of it
understand
in any
that.
way you want to.
But something obsolete, the definition of obsolete means it's no longer any good.
Okay.
We have a lot of items on there that says good.
2003.
So I think it's confusing to the public.
Okay.
And if the
Obsolete
statute,
is not needed, we don't need it.
Okay. I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor, vote yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed, vote no.
no,
Passes 5-2.
5-2. Okay, last but not least, the election of this year's school board officers. First one up is election of the president.
I make a motion to nominate Ken Brooks as board president.
I second it.
I make a motion to nominate Kurt Viner as president.
I second that.
Hold on.
Do you have that?
Who seconded the first motion?
Ken is, Ruth made the motion, Craig seconded.
point of order, shouldn't it be nominations,
Yeah, yeah.
not motions? So
okay.
Can we
I
back up
nominate
and do it
Kurt.
correctly?
Okay.
Thanks,
I
Ken.
said
Okay.
nominate.
Fair enough.
We've done it differently.
I know. It's good. We overdid it if we did it. Are we good, Jess?
Who seconded the second motion?
Jamie and Dr. Yarmert, Derek. Okay, anybody else?
In the minutes, does it say nomination or motion?
It says motion on my,
It says
that I'm reading, okay? Nominations cease. We shall vote for president. Ken was nominated first. All those in favor of Ken for president?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a number for us, Jess?
Sorry, it's going.
All right, you voted.
Oh, we got to vote yes or no, don't we? Okay.
The motion fails.
Okay, so Ken got 3?
Yes.
Okay. So are we voting for Kurt then? Okay. All those in favor of Kurt for president? Is that going to pop up? Vote yes. Opposed, vote no.
It passes 4-3.
Passes 4-3. Okay. Next would be vice president.
I nominate Ken Brooks for vice president.
Ken told me that he was not interested. Does that still hold true, Ken?
Yes, because I'd like to nominate Ruth Reuter.
Okay, so Ken is not a candidate. Okay. You're nominating Ruth? Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
got it. Okay, anybody else?
Do we need to second that?
I don't think so. I think we got it. It says motion, but I think Mr. Park is correct. Okay, anybody else? Seeing none? Nominations cease. think this will be easy, Jess.
Do you want me to send it as a motion?
I do.
Who's second?
Oh, we need a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Jamie. That way we can vote. Okay, the election is up. All those in favor of Ruth, vote yes. All those opposed, vote no.
Passes 7-0.
Passes 7-0. No exec, correct, Mr. Wilson? All right, entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so moved.
Jamie has made the motion, Dr. Yarmer has seconded. All those in favor of adjournment?
Yes.
It's coming. Vote yes? Yes? Mr. Brooks, you abstaining? Yes. 6-1. Meeting is adjourned. Motions, nominations.
It gets, we got to work on that one every year.
I'm simple, Simon. Mr. Brooks, can you still hear me? What happened to your bubble background? When you first started, you had a bunch of cruise ship bubbles. All righty. Well, you look good with bubbles.
Should we make an announcement on this?